Hi, we're back. We're together. It looks like I need to wipe off my camera again. I really don't know how. I feel like I do it every day. Maybe that's the point. Need to do it. Need to do it every day. Hi everybody. Thanks again for those of you who hopped over from TikTok, maybe for the very first time. And then of course, thank you and welcome to those of you who have been here forever. I'm glad to be over here on YouTube for two reasons today. First is that usually I get to a lot more questions, maybe not all of them, but a lot more of them here. And also, we just were having a lot of technical difficulties, and my moderator told me in our little break, my moderator told me that TikTok was having outages. So I assumed it was me, but it wasn't. But it was uncomfortable, inconvenient, unwelcome. So I think we're better here. Are we? So far, so good as far as I can tell. All right. I just saw the comment from Wonder Deb. It was intentional suppression. Yeah, I mean, it very well might be. I have gotten a lot of lately, not in the beginning, but lately I've gotten a lot of whisper, in my, downloads of yeah, TikTok's future is questionable. I mean, not necessarily nothing or going away, but it's just not serving the same purpose that it did, say, even a year ago when I was still new here. And yeah, so again, apologies to those of you who had that very glitchy experience on TikTok. I don't know, maybe the recording will be better than your experience of it, or not. I don't know. But what I can do is I can reshare the cards that we pulled. Lilith would very much like that, so we can do that, and they won't be backwards for you because it's not mirrored. But when I got up briefly in between, what did I do with the booklet? That's funny. I have the cards. And I have the one part of the box. Stand by. Am I sitting on it? That's always the... Oh, yep, I am. Yep. That's typically the case. If I can't find something, I'm either sitting on it or it has fallen to the ground. So I'm gonna read again from the cards that we did just pull. And I'm hearing that we're going to add a third one. So I'm hearing, and again, it's Lilith and Persephone who helped us an hour ago with the first two cards. And now they're telling me that they want to pull one more. It's just for you. Just for you who's found me over on TikTok, from TikTok to YouTube. Another thing I'm hearing is that we're going to do, I'm going to multitask. I'm going to be working with the cards at the same time, but I would like to walk us through the Pyramid of White Light exercise. It's just too much energy kind of coming at me, plus the glitchiness of TikTok. So I was told to save it for this. I wanted to, I meant to close my window. Sorry for the airplane noise. It's just, there's so few days that it's just like the right temperature to have a window open. And so I have my window open, but it's also, I live in Minneapolis, in South Minneapolis, and certain times of day, it's like our turn to get all the airplanes. Not all day, every day, but just like certain times of day. And now's the time, I guess. So I'm going to multitask with the cards in my hand, and we're going to practice the Pyramid of White Light. I will also be doing that tomorrow in our meditation class. Just again, reminder, For those of you who are members, you get to join for free. If you're not already a member, it's cheaper to become a member than to pay for one class, and then you get all the classes for free. Divinemagic.com/April2. If you're a member but you don't remember our code for this month, you can just catch it in the member playlist at the top. It should be right at the top. So here we go. Take a moment with me to just pause, close your eyes if that feels natural for you. We're going to do what's called the Pyramid of White Light exercise. This exercise has two purposes. One is to establish protection for this conversation, for you as you walk through your day. We're not protecting you from harm. We're protecting you from wasted time, wasted energy, frustration. So those things aren't going to hurt you, but they're not going to be welcome here. So that's why we do. That's reason number one. And reason number two, we do this exercise as frequently as possible, is to practice feeling the yes in our body. They keep telling me this, and they want me to repeat it to you. Nothing is more important right now than to learn how to feel a yes and then to trust that yes. But you can't even get to the point of trusting or not trusting it until you feel it. You got to feel it first. Then we work on the trust part. Feel it first. So here we go. We're going to practice protecting ourselves, and we're going to practice feeling the yes. I will walk you through it. So let's begin. Close your eyes if they aren't already. Visualize that ball of white light about 20 feet above you. It's a bright white ball of light. This ball of light represents source consciousness, source energy, source love. It's pure love. Unity consciousness. It's coming down now. Instead of 20 feet above you, it's 10 feet above you now. Coming down again, 5 feet. Approaching your crown chakra. Coming in to your heart chakra. Now centered right in your heart. Feel that ball of white light warming your heart. Double checking to see if there's anything in your heart specifically that doesn't resonate with this frequency. And if so, no judgment. It's just going to push it out to the outside as it expands. So now the ball of white light is expanding. It's expanding up and down through your whole energy body, your chakra system. Now it's expanding outwards, feeling the room you're in. The bottom of it makes a square like a pyramid. The top of it is a point about 20 feet above you where the ball of white light started. So now you are inside the pyramid of white light. Feel the energy. It is pure love. And anything that doesn't resonate with that is pushed to the outside. You might have needed it once, but you don't need it anymore. All right. Now, feel that. Feel it engaged. This pyramid of white light will protect you as you spend this time in this session and move through your day. So now we use our voice to declare that. Repeat after me. This pyramid of white light will protect me as I engage in this session and move on with my day. And now, this is the important part. You're going to ask to feel the yes in your body. You get to decide who you want to ask. I go to the top, and my label for the top is source. You can call on your higher self. You can call on Gaia. You can call on God, if that's the word that resonates with you. But you choose who you're going to call on to give you that confirmation. And then you ask them to give you a physical sensation. I'm going to invite you to watch me. It's very physical and visible for me. I go to the top. I ask for source. I'm going to ask him. Always makes me kind of giggle. It's a jolt, typically, for me. It's probably not going to be a jolt for you. I've done this thousands of times. So it's very, very visible and physical. But it's going to be something for you. So try it. Mm. Okay, and maybe you want to share in the comments if you felt something. What was interesting is, as I mentioned, I was multitasking with the deck, and right in the middle, a card popped out, but I had my eyes closed, so I didn't look at it yet, and so now I just looked at it. It is Venus, love and abundance. So let me go back, and I'm going to share the 2 cards that we already got today, and then we're going to add Venus to it. Except, oh my gosh, I thought I had the book, and I had everything. I had the cards, but somehow separated the book. Oh, I see it. See, didn't I tell you that when I can't find something, it's I'm either sitting on it or it's on the floor. And so I see the book and it must have gotten tossed. So stand by. Okay. I'm on this big chair. Those of you who have been here for a while, hear me talk about my chair. All right. Okay, interesting. They're telling me to read it in a different order than they did on TikTok. So we're going to start with the card that corresponds with today's new moon, which is the new moon in Aries. It's the first one of the zodiac year. So it's the first card. It's the number 1 card. And it says, when this card appears, the universe is calling for you to embrace your desires, set boundaries, and say no. You may feel the need to take on the world by yourself, rejecting support from others for fear of appearing weak. This can leave you feeling depleted. The lesson here is that you can both lead others and rely on them for support. The first step is to change your belief around independence. So that's our message for literally the new moon today, which is the new moon in Aries. And again, I am not the person to look to for a deep analysis of the planetary alignments and all of that. And mostly, like, they're like, because there's already good, there's plenty of good resources out there. My favorite is called Magic of I. I like this, like they do blogs and so on. Tomorrow, our meditation, we're going to go into a little more detail, I'm hearing, but they wanted us to know about the literal Aries new moon. Now, they gave us 1 card earlier and 1 card just now that is more of our tailored message from Lilith and Persephone for us today in this conversation. So I'll do just a quick review of what we already heard about fermentation. That was the first one that pulled out. And then the new one is Venus, love and abundance. So first, just a summary of fermentation. And if I didn't say this yet, if you've got questions, like especially if you were with me on TikTok and I didn't get to your questions because I didn't get to very many at all, put them in the chat, please. I'll get to them and we'll make Post-it notes as needed. I don't know if I'll get to everything since we do have a bigger group than our member conversations, but I will sure try. But first, fermentation, patience and maturity. Patience is a virtue and an extremely powerful, sorry, let me start over. Patience is a virtue and extremely powerful to practice as an alchemist. Change doesn't happen overnight. When the fermentation oracle card shows up, it's time to pause and allow the universe to create your soul's purpose. Allow wisdom, time, and maturity to develop around your newfound spiritual gold and identity you are stepping into. I'll stop there. Let me read that last sentence again. Allow wisdom, time, and maturity to develop around your newfound spiritual gold and identity you are stepping into. That's what we're meant to anchor in from that. Fermentation. That is that's such a good word for what I feel like I've personally done this past year-ish. And my brain and heart is going back to an email that I received late last weekend from a group. You know who you are, and they are bringing my attention to that email to connect with this idea of fermentation, because what you, the group that sent that email, that crafted that email, what you reflected back to me is all like the month, with your monthly themes and so on, is like how in this moment I'm receiving the understanding of that this past year was like a fermentation process for all of us, not just me. But my Pantheon just gave me that little gift of the linking that thought to the email that touched me so deeply and shifted how I see myself. So thank you for that. So I'm hearing that for those of you who are not brand new to this conversation, for those of you who have been with me for a year or more, they're saying, take a moment and remember how you entered into this conversation and how you're in this conversation today. And imagine the concept of fermentation. They want us to feel that we have not just like aged, but like transformed. There was this alchemy. It's like physics. So even though we might not see the motherships in the sky yet, for example, the download that's coming in is we've all been fermenting in a good way, like bubbling and adding, chemistry. All right. And now we've got one more card, a new card. So that was our fermentation card. They're bringing me to Venus, which is interesting. It's a very, we'll see if it's, nothing is coincidence, but Venus is another name for Aphrodite, which is one of the ones who is in my Pantheon. She's in my Pantheon, but she's never been 100% on board with New Earth. She, along with a handful of others, gets a lot of attention in Old Earth. She's all about beauty, and Old Earth values beauty among, the highest, if not the highest. It's at the top, in the top, 3, 5 values. So I'm hearing vitality, longevity, youthfulness. That's like probably number 1, more than money even. 2 is, I'm hearing them say money, and then, or like power, money, power, wealth is kind of grouped together because in Old Earth, they are grouped together. And the 3rd is beauty. So Aphrodite came into this whole shift into New Earth being like, I'm good. I like it here. So she's coming to us with this. I haven't started reading it yet. Let me read it now. Love and abundance. Venus loves to make life easier, beautiful, and joyful. She's a sprinkle of cosmic glitter, the life of the party. When this card appears, the opulent energy of Venus is sashaying into your life. Expect financial breakthroughs, romantic improvements, or the desire to change your aesthetic appearance. If you have dealt with any relationship challenges, Venus brings peace. If you have an important negotiation or judicial matter in your life, the scales will tip in your favor. I'm going to skip ahead. Ooh, this is another synchronicity for me personally. The planet Venus is called a morning star, as its bright magnetic light is visible in the sky at dawn. In astrology, Venus is the planetary ruler of harmonious air sign Libra and sensuous earth sign Taurus. I'm going to pause there, but I didn't want to go too fast past the morning star piece because that really has been a theme. Yeshua is known as the morning star. Quetzalcoatl is known as a morning star. Lucifer is known as the morning star. So I guess I didn't realize that the planet Venus is called a morning star. So that is quite interesting. So you get to decide. I don't know if that card came through because something in there was for you. Maybe, very well, maybe so. But I'm also interpreting this and hearing her, Aphrodite. Let me just confirm. I think she's here, but I think she wants me to confirm with the rods. Am I hearing Aphrodite here? Yeah. So Aphrodite is here. This is a first. I've met her before. She's in my Pantheon. I have a rendering of her, but this is a first that she's come in to a live. She is. Oh. I don't have her in my book because she's not part of my core Pantheon, and I don't have my iPad, but I'm going to show you on my phone what her rendering looks like. And while I'm multitasking, if you're new here, I often share AI renderings of the members of my Pantheon because early on when I started working with the consciousness of these different deities, they told me that one of the things that would strengthen my personal practice as I was learning it for the first time is to have a visual to anchor in. So if I was working with Aphrodite, I would visualize something specific. I would know, it would just help me, they told me, if I had visual depictions of the consciousness that I was getting to know. Now, these consciousnesses that are in my Pantheon, they don't have physical bodies. It's not like these AI renderings literally show what they look like because they don't have a body. But it sure was fun for me and them to go through this exercise where I interviewed them and I asked them questions like, what color is your hair? What do you want in the background? And those are just like, they just gave me a couple bullet points to put in as initial prompts. And then they did the work. They took over the algorithm in the background and then they did the work. Now with Aphrodite specifically, she told me she was blonde. And she told me that she was, I remember this really vividly. She showed me like she was like wet. She was wet. And I'm like, what do you mean you're wet? And she's like, I'm frolicking in the ocean. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was like the whole, like that was the input is blonde in the ocean. And now let me show you where we landed. So many of the gods needed, I don't know, up to 10 or so, maybe sometimes more versions before they were really happy. They would be like, hit it again, run it again. Cause they were working with the prompt in the background. But this is where she landed. So in the ocean, just like she wanted. So she's here. And that means I'm already feeling that she wouldn't be here if she was still kind of on the fence with New Earth. So that's a good sign. Yes. So let's just ask her some questions. And again, I'm sure you have tons of really good questions in the comments. I will get to them. But if you have any questions specifically for Aphrodite, put them in now and I'll zip to the end and make sure we get them because she's a special VIP. Yes. All right. I want to ask some questions. Let's start from neutral. Thank you. Um, so Aphrodite, are you okay? First, let's for context. Is it correct to say that in our earlier relationship of getting to know each other, you were not fully on board with New Earth? That's correct. Yeah, yeah. You were open. You were listening, but you weren't sold. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go back to neutral. Um, has that changed? Just confirming. Yeah. You made a deal. You negotiated a deal. Yeah. There's a lot of negotiations that happen. Burp of confirmation. So yeah, she's not going to tell us details, but she's like, I made a deal. I'm happy. Um, okay. Oh, excuse me. I just heard Aphrodite say, bless you. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. She just said that one of her negotiations, one of her requests was that she got to come in a live session and say hello. And so here she is. She's saying hello. That's really fun. And she's saying, I even heard her like, will you show my rendering one more time? Just show my rendering one more time. Zoom in. Zoom in. There she is. There she is. She's even got a crown with beautiful blue crystals. Um all right, she wants to say something else, and then I'm gonna get to your questions. Um, she's commenting on beauty and abundance. Yeah. So she's saying, yeah, it's true. It's true. Old Earth gave her a lot of listening. The word I heard was juice. Juice. Um. All right. There's a little Adult Swim little brain melty. I don't always go into the deeper stuff when we're public, but I'm gonna give it a try. So in old Earth, a lot of the gods, a lot of the old gods, you might hear that term old gods, like form like capital O, capital G, old the old gods. A lot of them in old Earth are weaker in old Earth than they ever used to be because so many of us have moved away from religion where the god of organized religion and others uh, received a lot of juice, is Aphrodite's word, from us, from worship, from being worshipped. Just listening. The old gods lost juice. But then there was new gods that gained power in old Earth. So Aphrodite, even though we might not think of her as a new god, she's describing herself as a new god compared to the old gods. And so she gained power in old Earth, not because people were like consciously worshiping Aphrodite, but because so many people worshiped beauty at such a deep level. So she didn't so someone doesn't need to literally worship Aphrodite. They don't even need to know her name to give her that juice, to benefit her with their energy. If someone's really in that like beauty frequency. And she's saying, and Persephone and Lilith are here too, and they're agreeing that there is nothing wrong with that. Like that is a beautiful frequency, literally, pun intended. Um, the frequency of beauty is beautiful. Of course it is. The problem is that everything has its opposite. The beauty frequency, the healthy, balanced frequency, let me say that differently. The frequency of healthy, balanced beauty has a opposite, has a other side of the coin. And it's not ugliness, it's not like a lack of beauty. It's the lack of balance. It's the frequency of imbalanced beauty. It's a frequency of beauty that lacks the undercurrent of acceptance, and instead, the opposite side of the coin of beauty would be beauty that, just listening, has an undercurrent. So if one side of the coin has an undercurrent of acceptance, the other side of the coin has the undercurrent of judgment. So beauty for the sake of beauty, like as in beauty in nature, like flowers don't compete with each other. They just enjoy all of the flowers' beauty. The other side of that coin is that judgmental beauty, like beauty contest beauty, where there's a winner, the most beautiful, and a loser. So those are two sides of a coin. So Aphrodite is bringing that forward for us to really understand that in New Earth, we're still going to have two-sided coins, because we need those coins. We need the both sides to grow. We need to experience them both. We need to understand them both. We need to have compassion for them both to continue on our soul's journey. So Aphrodite is, she's saying, I'm not going to share the details of my negotiations, but it has something to do with her being reassured that New Earth will continue to have beauty, like we'll continue to value beauty, but it just won't be the same value. It won't be like beauty of, competition, beauty of judgment. It'll be more like beauty, like a flower garden. Beauty, like, look at all of this beauty. And so Aphrodite will continue to get that juice. It's just going to look a little different than she's used to. But she got reassured that beauty's not going anywhere in New Earth. New Earth is going to be even more beautiful. So she's feeling really good about that. And she is bringing me back to the card one more time to say it's not just beauty, even though that's kind of her thing. The card is also true, that it's love and abundance. So we can expect that in New Earth, because she's encouraging us to put ourselves there, put ourselves into a future, and ask ourselves, okay, so we just got this download from Aphrodite saying that New Earth is going to be full of beauty, but a different kind of beauty. What does that mean to me? So what kind of beauty do you want to bring to New Earth? Aphrodite is encouraging us to use this new moon energy to think about, what kind of beauty do I not have enough of yet? And actually, she's giving me a very specific example of, like, she would really like me to have more fresh flowers in my life. I've got some outside. I noticed that daffodils. And I always, like every year, I'm just like, oh, I feel bad about, picking them, because I don't know, it feels like harmful, but then they just end up wilting outside when I didn't really enjoy them. So I'm hearing Aphrodite say, go pick those daffodils that are right at their peak right now, bring them inside, enjoy them, enjoy every moment of their blossom, their bloom, their maximum, like, high peak of beauty. Bring it into your life. In my case, they're saying literally, physically, go outside, respectfully. Just a little actually, Gaia is popping in. Little pro tip from Gaia. She's saying, if you ever do that, like when because she's acknowledging, like my like, oh, I don't like to kill flowers. Guy is like, yeah, good, good. Like, thank you for being respectful of the life. But she's saying, don't let it stop you from picking the flower like a daffodil that's gonna wilt outside or it's gonna wilt inside. So you might as well enjoy it. Because I can't quite see it from inside. I just know it's out there. Gaia is saying, um, couple tips. She's saying, for one thing, do your best to only do one cut per plant. So, in other words, let's imagine she's like showing me like a daffodil. Okay, it's a one stalk. She's saying like, just do like one snip, and when you do the snip, you give a little like a thank you, like a little prayer. I don't love that word, but like a little thought rocket to the plant, and just be like, thank you for bringing this beauty into my life, and do it one cut quickly. That's a daffodil. It's pretty easy to imagine. But like the next, she's like saying me, oh, I don't know, lilacs, let's say, where it's like a branch. She's saying don't do like a little cut, one little cut, one little cut, one little cut, one little cut, because the plant feels each cut. So with lilacs, instead, trim, like prune a whole branch. Find a beautiful branch that has a whole bunch of really nicely arranged, blooms, and do one cut. One cut. Again, thinking thank you. And then later, if you want to trim that down and just make a bouquet, sure. But again, you're just thinking about the tree or the plant. One cut to remove it, to detach it from the earth with the thank you. Okay, that was a little download. Let me get to your questions. Again, if you're new here, I'm going to do my very best to get to as many themes as I can. Some of them, as I see, we might do a real quick answer, and some of them might get put onto a Post-it. And if there's any Post-its that I don't get to today, we will prioritize next Friday. And I have my Post-its, yes. And I just need a pen. There it is. On the floor. On the floor. Got it. All right. I'm officially ready to say more hellos and see what's on your mind. Hi, Tony. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Jaquel. Hi. Malika is here. Tammy's here. Kimberly, hi. Okay. Jaquel has a question about star seeds. I would love to talk about star seeds. They're saying, yes, star seeds. Let's do it. I will make my first Post-it. Star seeds. There's an airplane. Again, it's one of the nice things about living in Minneapolis is that we are a hub, a Delta hub, and the airport is really convenient to get to. But it's close to my house, so certain times a day I hear a bunch of airplanes, and I have a window open right now, right next to us. So it's star seeds, ready for that. All right, thank you, Jaquel. Thank you. Hi, Robin. Hi, Lauren. Ooh, Lauren, I think this might be a Post-it also. Lauren's saying, I've given my guides consent to support me in my dream state, but then I wake up terrified with a sense that there is presence in my room. This is a short answer. They're saying that add to the consent. I mean, it's not really so much as a consent as an intention. So, Lauren, they are suggesting that you, like before you go to sleep, set an intention. You can even do a quick little pyramid of white light exercise where you're just protecting yourself from, frustration in your dreams. And then very specifically set the intention to receive support in your dreams and to wake up. Well, they're giving me two ideas. One is you can just say very specifically, wake up peaceful. But you might also actually prefer to say that your intention is to wake up with um with a what word are they giving? Appropriate energies. So where they're trying to that it's not coming through clearly in words, but the idea is, and what they're telling me is, you're waking up with that sense that terror feeling because of conditioning. So we're all conditioned to feel like I mean, from kids, like how many of us were like afraid of ghosts or monsters under the bed, or we're kind of that's an old wound. It's sort of like I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm just hearing the phrase monster wound. It's our monster wound. That sort of terror, night terror, that's something the idea that something's gonna get us. Um, think about how many like uh even like children's stories, Disney movies, like that sort of like boogeyman, bad guy, separation from parents, like something bad's gonna happen. So we're kind of conditioned from a real young age to be on the lookout for something bad. And so sometimes that can come into our spiritual practice in unhelpful ways. Like we ask for support in our dream state, we receive it, but then when we wake up and we're still resonating with the being that perhaps in your case was working with you in your dreams, our conditioned brain wants to label that scary, problem, danger. So it's a bit of unlearning. And I'm also hearing, Lauren, I'm hearing I'm hearing them say, "Oops," like sorry. Like we're hoping that you wouldn't notice. We were hoping you wouldn't remember. So that's their tips. Hi Annette, welcome back. Hi Steve. Hi Sierra. Hi Lauren. Hi Tim. Oh Tim, hi. Tim, I haven't seen your name in a while. Welcome. Welcome. Sierra, yeah. Hi Dale. Dale's here. Ronnie, hi. Katrina, did I say hi to you already? Uh Katrina, I always like think of you in San Francisco, and I'm like, oh, San Francisco. Elsa, hi. Um, mm, Dale and Emily Famosa are doing tandem rods practice at 1 p.m. That's in just a little bit. When 1 p.m. Central Time. So keep a look out for them. That's just in 15 minutes. I don't think I'll be done in 15 minutes, so sorry to compete. Oh, unless you're talking about no, you're not talking about Eastern. That would be right now. Carrie's here from the Canary Islands. Carrie in the Canary Islands. Hi, Carrie. Um, Oh, Ronnie, you just purchased the cabinet you were looking for to build your art altar this weekend. Perfect timing, Ronnie. Perfect timing. Let me say this again in case you didn't hear it when I mentioned it earlier on TikTok. Today is the new moon. It's a very, very powerful moon. I guess you did probably hear that if you were listening when we were talking about the card. But it's a perfect time to maybe create a new altar. Maybe create an altar for the first time. Maybe refresh the one you have already. Since some of you are brand new to me, I want to say something about altars. This all started for me with what I call a spontaneous spiritual awakening, and there were a lot of components to it. And I heard messages very clearly. At first, it was just like words, themes, and one of the themes the two primary themes I heard from the beginning and that never ever stopped was meditation and altar. And meditation I didn't love, but more because I was like, I tried meditation and it doesn't work for me. But then they gave me a method that does work for me. That's what I'm teaching tomorrow. Side note. But altar was the second one that I was just like, I don't like how that feels. the idea of an altar, I couldn't break away from seeing like, I don't know, a big ornate church or a Buddhist altar, with a whole lot of gold and fruit, And so I was like, I don't know. I don't know about an altar. That feels religious-y. And they're like, no, not a normal, not what you're thinking about. An altar where you can create a circle. So the altar, as it was taught to me, and that I share with you. Well, first of all, I'm going to share in detail at the end of May in the level 2 workshop. But I'll share little tidbits from here and there, including right now, which is the center of the altar is a pyramid. There's a lot of pyramids in my work. Interesting. I just, in my head, I was just like, I wonder why that is. I never asked. And I got a surprisingly short answer. They say that the reason that the pyramid is so important for our inner work, like visualizing the pyramid of white light, as well as very physical things like the Egyptian pyramids, the pyramids all over the world for that matter, pyramids like this one, pyramids like this one. So they're saying a couple things about that. One is they're saying that the bottom, being square, is important because that grounds us. So the idea of a pyramid having a square base is grounding. The idea of a pyramid having a pointy tip is indicating the highest power. Because in inner divinity, it doesn't matter what you call your highest power. You can even align with any of the world's religions if you want to. You can call your highest power Allah. You can call your highest power Shiva. You can call your highest power God. You can call your highest power your highest self. If you really want to just stay in this lifetime focused on your own inner energy, that also works. But there's no right name for God as long as you're talking about the tippy top of the pyramid or the triangle. I use the word source. Aliens use the word source. You get to use what you want. So that's another aspect of this idea of a pyramid. We've got the base of a grounding. We've got the tippy top, the point represents our highest power. And then we've got 4 triangles. And the triangle as a shape versus the 3D pyramid, the triangle as a shape, and as well as like the number 3. There's a lot of 3s. There's also 3s and 6s and 9s. The triangle represents polarity which might not be logical at first, but when you've got 3 sides, they're essentially saying it's like the 2 sides of the coin, like the 2 polarities, and then balance. So it's like the angles are like this sort of conflicting energy, polarity energy, where they're sort of angled towards each other. And then the base of the triangle establishes the balance. They're also saying something about synergy. You could also apply the concept of synergy. So like 2 lines, imagine 2 lines on their own, might be like this. If you tip them toward each other with that polarity energy, they're going to like collapse. But if you insert a bottom to the energy and you anchor it and you make that triangle, you anchor those bottom corners, then the polarity angles can lean into each other and support each other while being supported. So when we have 3, when we have a triangle, like 4 of them on every pyramid, we're constantly reinforcing balance. We are constantly engaging in that notion that polar opposites can support each other and be supported as long as they've got balance on the bottom, as long as they're holding balance as the foundation of that polarity. That's a really important lesson for us as we move forward into New Earth, where we're still going to have all these coins, these two sides of many, many coins. Now, the spectrum is not going to be as wide. We're not going to see the extremes of somebody, one end of a huge spectrum, and then the other side of that coin is the opposite end all the way over here. We're just going to see a lot of the spectrums get a little narrower. So the opposites are not going to be so painful when they lean into their polarity. But polarity is still going to exist because, again, that's how we grow. Don't remember how we got on that, but I'm being reminded that at least one of the tangents was your altar. So the middle of my altar, I'm looking for something visual to show you. I don't have one. The middle of my altar is a pyramid, a wire. It's not a solid pyramid. It's a, wire pyramid that I can put objects in the middle of. And then I also have objects that make a circle around that pyramid. So that's what my altar looks like. Every day I come into my morning practice and I'm essentially inviting and requesting my Pantheon to work with me to enter into a collaboration together to turbocharge my intentions and for me to receive their guidance and give me insights into how to move forward with action. So that is the other piece of this important puzzle. Feel that inner yes. Develop a relationship with a Pantheon that you can call in for help because we're not meant to do this alone. And then take action. Take inspired action. They will help us. They want to help us, but they can't take action for us. That was another thing that the Bible was changed on purpose to reduce our own power. Is the Bible was sort of sandpapered, first of all, to indicate that you must go through a middleman. There was a lot of effort made to erase the parts of the original Bible, the original writings that Yeshua taught, which was to go inward to find God, that to reject the notion of needing a proxy, a middleman. So that was removed for the most part. You can find little bits of that message if you're looking for it. You have eyes to see and ears to hear. But what they also did that was really damaging is they emphasized prayer, which is really like asking for things or prescribing to the God of organized religion what you want as a solution. There was a lot of encouragement to pray for others, which is silly because no amount of praying for others is going to change their reality. We are in control of ourselves, but no amount of someone praying for me is going to keep me safer than I can keep myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm picking on my mom, but she she prays for me and all of her kids and all of her grandkids and spouses of her kids and all that. She prays for all of us every day. And while that does have value because it brings her into that relationship with her God, it doesn't actually make me safer. On the other hand, it never occurs to me to pray for the safety of my son, who's just about to graduate college. So he's not quite a dependent, but not quite launched, almost. It doesn't even occur to me to pray for his safety. Because what I did instead is I, in partnership with my husband, taught him how to keep himself safe and taught him to contact us if he's needs help. So it doesn't even occur to me. It doesn't even occur to me. Now, I'm also hearing that it's not like it's hurts anything to whether you like the word prayer or intention. Again, that's my word that they've given me, but they want us to put energy into the future that we want. It again, they're bringing me back to intention. So it's a shift. It's like just a pivot in our brain, especially if you're a raised Christian and raised with this notion of prayer, asking for things, praying for people, praying for others. Turn it around, pivot it to yourself, and focus on the life that you want. Focus on the world you want to walk through. And so if my mom were to go deep into that question, what kind of world do you want to walk through, Mom? She would probably get to a place. I don't know if she could like pull it out right away, but maybe she could get there and say, I want to live in a place. I want to walk through an earth where all of my extended family is happy and healthy and filled with joy every day. Like, I don't know. That would be great if she could get there. I don't know if she'd get there. She's so programmed into like feeling like if she misses a day, then like something bad's going to happen to us. It's like, no, Mom, this is not how it works. It's not how it works. Anyway, I don't know. That was just something that came through. Let me keep going through. I still haven't finished saying hello. So hello to Julia. Hello to Lorelei. Thanks for coming over to YouTube. Hi in Indiana. Hi, Venki in Norway. All right. Carrie's coming in with a good question. Let me see if this is a quick one or a post-it. Carrie is asking a really good question. She's asking if we connected with a deity we don't want to be connected with, like the God of the Bible, as I sometimes say, because that's the one and only deity that I've ever met that I'm like, nope. And I have met the demiurge and I have met the devil, and both were lovely conversations, super interesting, very respectful. The only God that's ever come in to the point where I felt disrespected, and I'm like, nope, I don't work with that. Was the God of organized religion. He goes by other names, but that's the name that I will use today. So Carrie's asking about like how do we, because that happened to me. Not only did the God of organized religion come in once a while back and pretend to be someone else at first, which I quickly figured out, because I have a rigorous method of doing that I don't know why they bother. Like, I haven't been successfully tricked in a really long time, though. I don't know. Now that I said that, I probably just created a challenge. They're probably like, challenge accepted. Fine. Sometimes they do trick me in my personal practice, and I'm like, okay, you did it. You tricked me. Congratulations. You tricked a human. It's a pretty low bar. Carrie, I'm listening. I think this is a short answer, or at least medium. They're bringing me back to that inner knowing, because the God of organized religion has a lot of power, and even though he is not in a leadership position, he still has a lot of power. They're showing me it's like like a sports car, like or a race car. Actually, that's what they're saying, a race car. It's like the race car is not on the racetrack anymore. The race car lost the race, but now the race car is like driving around on residential streets, like He's just like trying to cause trouble because he lost. He lost the race and he's pissed. So, Carrie, let's listen. So, yeah, okay. Step one, feel that inside, because the God of organized religion can override your plasma, meaning can give you a false answers on your rods or pendulum, or the hardest divination tool for any deity that's wearing the trickster hat is your body. Your body is the divination tool. And that's what we're using when we feel for that inner yes. So that's the hardest one. Anything external to us, rods or pendulum, is easier. It's much harder to override our body. So lean into that, Carrie. That's the first step. Really learn when you're, recognize when there's a deity there that's not welcome. Then secondly, when you acknowledge that, or even if you think maybe, even if it's maybe, they're telling me best rule of thumb, end the conversation. Just end the conversation. Because even when, like, for example, I was sharing the other day about how it was that the God of organized religion, came back a second time. So again, the first time my guard was way up. I was said no, boundaried. I just didn't engage. But then he came back and again pretended to be someone he wasn't, and started to trick me into thinking that there was some benefit to me talking to him. It was starting to sound like that Source was there too, and Source was like, yeah, listen to what he has to say. And then that's when, if I heard the story already, I like look out the window and there's an eagle like that flew into the tree across the street, like not in the distance where I usually see eagles, because there's a lake in the distance where they live. This eagle came from the lake direction and then landed in the tree across the street from me. And that was Apollo. That was Apollo distracting me, taking my attention away from the God that shall not be named. And it was Apollo having my back and saying, nope, cut him off. He's lying to you. The eagle stayed there so long enough. I got my camera going and it was like boring. I'm like, this is just an eagle sitting in the tree. This is an eagle sitting in a tree. It's really boring footage. Eventually flew away. But Carrie, that's another thing, is keep an eye out. Probably won't look like an eagle outside your window, but it could be something else distracting you on purpose, like having your back that way. And then I guess I'm hearing one last tip, which is if you're new, well, even if you're not new, if you're new or otherwise, and you are doing a divination practice and you sense a you sense a deity coming in, you sense energy coming in. You always want to ask, are you here for my highest and greatest good? If you're a beginner, you want to always hear a yes, because if you hear a no to that question, if you're a beginner, you're just not going to be quite ready to move on. So you just stop and wait, try again later or tomorrow, and wait for the yes. Now, once you get a little bit more advanced, you don't have to stop there, because there are some good reasons for that first question to be a no, but that's always your first question. Are you here for my highest and greatest good? If you get a no, and if you don't consider yourself a beginner, then you could ask a second question, which is, are you here for the highest and greatest good of humanity? And you might get a yes. And so that means that this deity has come to you not for you, but for the broader collective, which it's still an option. You might just be like, no, this is a personal practice. I'm not into something for humanity. I'm into me. You should default to that, by the way. That's not selfish. That's putting your own oxygen mask on first, which we always need to do. But if you are open, if you're like, yeah, I'm feeling really centered, I'd love to do so. That would be an honor. That'd be an honor to do some work on behalf of the entire humanity as one collective. Now, you might get a no to both of those questions. Are you here for my highest and greatest good? No. Are you here for the highest greatest good of humanity? No. There's a third question that's valid to ask, which is, are you here for the highest and greatest good of the planet? Because again, you might get someone like Gaia coming through, where she's coming through and she has something to say, but it's not for your sake. It's for the sake of the earth. So once you're a little more comfortable with this work, you can open yourself to that if you choose to. But you always want to remember that you are sovereign. You have free will. You give consent. You should never entertain energy that feels like it's rushing you. Energy that is for your greatest and good, highest and greatest good is never going to be in a hurry. That's just not how they come through. If you feel energy that's like, hurry, 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 like do this. And there were times early on where I would be, just like almost ready for bed. I don't know, watching TV with my husband or something. And then I would feel this activation in my body, like, go, like, we have something important to tell you. It's very, very urgent. Go find your rods, go listen to us. And in the beginning, I'd be like, oh my God, I would like get up and I would like, and I'd be like, what, and those were almost always tricksters. It just took me a while to learn that lesson. So urgency is a yellow flag, if not a red flag. Something else? No? Okay. All right. So Carrie, hopefully you found some tips in there. That kind of took us in a few minutes. All right. I still have some hellos that I haven't said yet. So hello, Sabrina, Ari, Lorna in England. Hello. Mel, Aaliyah, Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Leslie, Deb, Laura from Circle Pines. Hi. I know I'm way behind on your comments, so thank you for being patient with me, but I did want to give a shout out to Care Bear, new here. Hello, welcome. This can be a lot. Your first time, so thanks for hanging in there. All right. It spun out on me, so I think I missed some. I missed a bunch. Thanks for your patience. It spun me way down, and I really missed a lot. So I'll get back to you. I'll get there, because this is my, again, I don't promise to get to every single question, but I do promise to try. Oh gosh, I don't know. Either I already missed a bunch, or okay, now I'm with me. Now I'm back. Moss is asking about what we started on TikTok about the motherships, what they will look like. They don't give me much more like details. They kind of give me like Star Wars. I'm just not a Star Wars person, so I couldn't tell you the name. But the big ships in the Star Wars franchise, they show it to me like that. I don't know. They're not necessarily being literal. They're just saying big, really big. Okay. Oh, Steph, that's beautiful. She's saying that she was doing a meditation. She asked for an image of her higher self and was shown a glowing ball of lighter energy. And then she got confirmation from her pendulum. That's great. Sabrina is asking about, she's saying, help clarify if the elites seem to worship Baal and Moloch. Do the Draco reptilians also worship these gods? Okay, let me just listen, because they will answer the question, but I'm not sure if it's short or long. So is it short? Yes. Okay. Meaning answer now. Yes. Okay. The short answer is no. Correct. Let me just do that differently. Do the elites worship Baal and Moloch? No. Do the Draco reptilians, gosh, also worship these gods? No, but that was a different no. Um, okay, because they're dialing in on worship. Yes. So back to neutral, please. Um, do the elites worship? Period. Do the elites worship? Is I mean, I'm hearing not all of them, but most of them. Most of them participate in some form of worship intended to help them retain their status. No surprise there. Okay. Now, so when they worship, they worship Baal and Moloch? No. Now, the second part of that question, do the Draco reptilians, do they also worship gods? Yes. Do they worship in the same way that the elites do? Yes. All right, stand by. No. So the elites worship the god of organized religion, the he who shall not be named. Always have, because it's the god of organized religion who established the hierarchical system in the first place. So that is who the elites worship. There's different sects, clans, tribes. I don't know. Clan is, I guess, the preference. When the word when we say the elites, what they interpret that to mean is the shadow government, the 1% of the 1% that we don't even know their names. They literally operate in the shadows. They don't participate in visible culture. They are organized into clans. The clans were originally organized by bloodline. So the elites are obsessed with bloodline. Yes. I'm just curious. Actually, no. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were connected to source on this stuff because, again, you get to decide who you want to call in as your highest power and what name you want to use with them. I use source. And if I really want to validate, I go to the top. So I just wanted to validate that that's who I was talking about. And I just do what what you're seeing me do just now was like a little mini pyramid of white light. I'm just asking to show me, and sometimes they do. Sometimes I feel it really subtle, but it's enough. But sometimes it's visible. Back to the elites, clans, bloodlines. I'm getting confirmation that it really does go all the way back to not just Yeshua's bloodline. That's one of them. Yeshua's bloodline is one of them. But the actual truth is it's a lot more similar to lineage. There was a Prometheus bloodline. There was a Hercules bloodline. Hang on. Were they all male? I mean, figures. Okay. I wasn't getting a full yes at first. Did you notice that? And then and usually what I'm, again, this happens so fast. So I just actually have to stop myself and be like, "Ooh, that was a little teaching moment." So here's my teaching moment. I was getting a yes, they were headed towards a yes, but they paused like this, which for you would probably be enough of a yes to be a yes. But for me, that's not a full yes. That's like a kind of. And so in my head, what I start doing just without even thinking about it, it's just an instinct, is it's like I start flipping through qualifiers to get to the full yes. So I asked in my head, I mean, what I asked out loud was, are they all male? And I got a yeah-ish. And then in my head, I heard they think they were all male. They think. So it was the 13. There was 13 original ones. And the humans that were putting, kind of identifying them and kind of like putting structure in place, to come to an agreed upon hierarchy. They all had male names. They were all assumed to be male lineage, but they weren't all male. It's kind of like Anubis was assumed to be male, but was actually the lineage of Hecate. Uh, um, Another thing to know is there's some deities who were very much non-binary or twin spirit. So those were included in the 13 too. So the patriarchy that was being seeded through this whole framework layered on details that made it look like all male, but they're actually bringing my attention to one of my favorites in the sort of twin spirit category of deity is in the Egyptian pantheon. Actually, pronouns are he, they, neat. But in the Egyptian tradition, Neat was presented as a goddess. But this is neat. This is the Neat that I met. So can you see that? Like very expressive, lots of femininity coming through, but at the same time, I'm trying to get the glare a different way. Facial hair, not trying to be feminine only, but very balanced, very expressed in both directions. I don't know. That was a fun little detail. Okay, one more thing. So bloodlines, yes. 13, yes. They weren't all male. Okay, but this is the important thing about this. I'm hearing, and again, I just confirmed source. In the beginning, there was really something special about the blood. It was literally, there was DNA differences that made a difference in the most ancient part of this framework, which goes way back, even, but they're saying before Yeshua. That's why Yeshua was one of the 13, but he was he was of a lineage, which gets a little brain melty because again, it was kind of, we've been confirmed that it was like artificial insemination, but there was also bloodline lineage through on his maternal side, Mother Mary, because Mother Mary was also, they're just saying artificial insemination. Mother Mary was born of immaculate conception, and then she gave birth to immaculate conception. So Yeshua was actually the second. Okay, I was gonna say, or more. No, Yeshua was the second generation of that manipulation of genetics. Anyway, the point is that what used to be real, what used to be true, what used to be meaningful in the blood and the DNA is no longer. Yes. So what has happened is the elites are now in this false framework where they're constantly chasing longevity and vitality, but it's not, there's no, they're chasing it in the wrong places. The gods they worship, the god of organized religion, doesn't sit on the throne anymore. So what's happening? Interesting. They're showing me that for the elites, and there's some channelers too. I'm not going to name names, but you might know some of the examples that are out there. There are channelers who don't realize it, but they're getting input from the God of organized religion. And they think it's spirit. Now, I'm getting confirmation that not every channeler that works with spirit is working with the God of organized religion. But what I am hearing is that the word spirit is a very general word in most people's pantheon. Meaning, if you call in spirit, that is way open for interpretation. There's a whole lot of beings that qualify as spirit. So, including the God of organized religion. So, in my framework, I don't use the word spirit. I don't call in spirit. I don't talk to spirit. Because spirit is like the word deity or God. And we don't want to be general. We don't want to be like, hey, anybody out there? So if you're calling for spirit, you're kind of calling for anybody out there. So be careful. So there's a lot of channelers who call to spirit, who talk to spirit. And so the spirit that they talk to might not even be the same spirit from day to day. So that's another place where the God of religion can hide and show up and be like, here I am. I'm spirit. You called for spirit. I'm here. And then what's happening now, they're bringing me back to the elite and some of the channelers, but more importantly, the elite. The God of organized religion is like giving them bad advice, is sort of like having a temper tantrum because he's not on his throne anymore. He has very little influence. He has power. Again, it's like he's like that race car driving through the residential streets. He's still got the power. He just can't apply it. He's just off the racetrack. No one cares. Though they might see him drive down the street and be like, whoa, that's a race car, spirit. I'm just listening because I don't want to sound judgy. They're not trying to be judgmental of people who you might see to talk about spirit. Because a lot of people use spirit instead of using the word God. And first of all, for people who do that, God knows who you're talking about. So if you use the word spirit meaning God, meaning what I mean when I say source, then source knows that. Source, when you're talking about source knows that. But you've also got to do basic protections, and it's a lot easier to protect yourself if you're specific when you say source instead of general when you say spirit. All right, enough about that. That was important, but that's all you need to know. I'm hearing one. Sorry, before we move on from Sabrina's question, Baal and so is Baal a real deity? Yeah. And we've talked about Baal before, but I don't remember. I don't retain a lot of my memory of what happens in these live sessions, so I'll just have to start, fresh. So is Baal a real deity? Yes. Female? Yes. Previously male? Yes. previously had overlap with the demiurge, sorta. I'm getting some like demiurge who is the god of suffering, loneliness, and despair. So Baal is sort of along those lines, but almost like the female other side of the coin. Other side of the coin? No. Counterpart. Like another coin. Another coin. Because she's also suffering loneliness and despair, but on the feminine energy side. So if the demiurge is more like masculine suffering, then Baal would be feminine suffering. And again, we create our own gods. So if there's a god that exists, like we just learned, that's the feminine suffering, then she exists because there were a whole lot of people who called in unnecessary feminine suffering. Suffering is always unnecessary. Pain is pain. You cannot prevent pain. Well, I'm hearing they're like, well, you could take painkillers or pain, you could chemically modify yourself so you're not feeling pain, but you get the point. Pain is physical. You're feeling the pain of a broken bone. You're feeling the pain of hunger. You're feeling the pain of unpaid bills. That's pain. Suffering, it looks like, something that doesn't have anything to do with you and is not physically happening to you. Pain of suffering is like, oh, the children starving in, third world countries. Like, yeah, there's children suffering. Sorry, wrong. There's children starving in third world countries, but they probably aren't suffering. They might be starving, but they're not necessarily suffering. You, who's not starving, have no business suffering just because of children who may or may not be suffering. Now, if there's action you could take, great. Go take some action. Go take some action. Like make a difference. Even donating some money, sure. That's an action. But unnecessary suffering, optional suffering is what's going to always weaken you. And back to an earlier point, it's what was sandpapered in the Bible to say, like, oh, just if you're suffering, just pray. And so what praying about suffering means is you are calling in what you don't want, especially if there's worry behind it. You might have heard me say, and other people say, I didn't make this up, but worrying is like praying for what you don't want. So there's a lot of patriarchal and organized religion conditioning that goes into making us worry about things that we have no control over. So step 1 is to recognize that. Step 2 is to reject that. Reject that. Don't take on suffering. Don't take on the energy that you have no control over. Take action if you can, but just remind yourself, you can't. It's not your job. It's not your job. Okay. I see Steph asking, is our higher self really shown as a circle ball of light? Not everybody. Not everybody. Your higher self is going to look a certain way to you. My higher self, I don't really sense a physicality. So mine's not even a ball of light. Mine's more like a presence, an energy, like air, I can't see her, but I feel her when I call her in. All right. Oh, and then Moloch, same thing. Same thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess that's all for that one. Thanks for hanging. I'm gonna go. I don't know if I'll go a full 30 more minutes, but I'll go at least 20 more minutes. So let me know if you've got burning questions. I'm still way behind your comments, but I'm getting there. Oh, hi, Lacey. I see that you're going to be popping in and out, but hi. Lauren is at work. Hi. Here's a question. Are bad reptiles gone? They're saying the short answer is yes, but I'm also just like being called to just ask, were there bad reptiles here in the first place? Uh, uh, were there some bad reptiles here in the first place? Yes, some, but not like you heard the term reptilians. Reptilians are not bad. Some of them are just like some humans are. And bad, even that, I mean, depends on your definition of bad. So that's the short answer. Okay. Tyler, what an interesting question. He's asking, any advice for people who are on a divine union journey and telepathically connected to a divine counterpart they haven't met yet in 3D? Ooh. What I'm hearing, Tyler, is another reference to the meditation, which one more time, I'll remind you, we're doing it tomorrow. If you're a member here on TikTok or YouTube or on TikTok, check out the member post for the code. If you're not a member, it's cheaper to become a member than to pay for the one class, but you can. Either way, divinemagic.com/April 2. Tomorrow, noon Eastern, or on replay. You don't have to join me in real time. I love it when you do. And I think, especially if you're still learning, I think you get an extra boost if you join me live, but the same link brings you to you'll automatically get an email after you register. You'll get an email with the link to the replay when we're done. Hi, Katrina. Hi, Jody. Hi, Diane. I'm still saying hellos. Hi, Jonathan Ben. Hi. Okay, let me keep going. I'm so far behind that I only just now got to the point in the chat where you were sharing with me and each other what you were feeling from the pyramid of white light. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And some of you are saying, I felt this. Is that a sign? All of you, the answer is all yes. Yes, it might be different next time. Our Pantheon is experimenting with us when we are doing this, especially in the beginning. So they're going to be looking for the thing that works best. So, but yeah, chills, tingles, yawns, jolts, the sensation, like Ronnie's saying, I feel plasma moving up and down my spine. Ronnie, you're really dialed in. So yeah, that's also true, but not very many people can feel that. So you should know that, Ronnie. Steph's saying like when her eyes got really bright. Yeah. So things like that can happen. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your patience as I'm catching up with you. I think, unless I lost something, I've got one post-it so far, which is star seeds. Care Bear is asking about the triangle UFOs. That's a short answer. I'm hearing those are what they call auxiliary ships. They're real. They're saying hold the rods just to show it. Are the triangle ships real spaceships? Yes. Yeah. Are there also drones that can look like when I say drones, I mean, are there human-made drones that can look like the triangles? Yeah, that can happen. But is it likely that they're human-made? No. So depending, for all of you out there who are seeing things in the sky, or maybe your news outlets are saying they were drones. Some of them are going to be human-made, but most of them are not. All right. Elsa is asking, can a soul choose to incarnate on Earth with the sole purpose to cause harm? No. Okay, I'm like, correct? Correct. No. No is the answer. Correct. Souls do not choose to cause harm. To any soul that is not actively experiencing Earth, that is the weirdest part of humanity, is that we have it in us to harm each other and our own planet. That's like, it doesn't compute. So no soul ever comes to Earth with that intention, because the coin, it's not I'm just listening to how they want to say this, because they're showing me the coin of abuser, victim. But what they're saying is the coin is not about harm. The coin is about how fear is processed. How fear is processed. So they're saying in that particular example, the coin called a victim and abuser is not about harm, giving harm versus receiving harm. It's about fear being expressed as harm and fear being generated from harm. That's the meaningful part of that coin, is experiencing the energy, which is rooted, which is fear. It's always fear. It might manifest as something else, but it's just different flavors of fear. So abuse is always, this is extreme. So abuse is always fear being expressed as harming others. And then there's nuance that branches out from there. Like sometimes it's harm of someone else to gain a sense of control. Sometimes it's harm, like for example, harm against a child is not about control, because the child is automatically void of agency. So someone who is driven to harm a child after fear, or because of the foundation of fear, is someone who's processing fear through like innocence. There's this like almost like desperation to cling to innocence. It's not meant to be logical. It's not meant to make sense. They're just helping us understand how the coin works. I feel like there's something else coming through. On the coins. Just like we make our own gods, we make our own coins, because anything that we experience for the first time as a human by choice, we make a choice and we experience something. We create a coin. And so the opposite of that coin is going to be parallel, proportional to the coin we created. And so that's why what we learned a couple weeks ago is, we have to experience both sides of every coin that we create. So what usually happens is we first experience a lifetime where we are the abuser. We have such deep-seated fear, and it comes out sideways in harming someone or the planet. And as soon as we do that, as soon as our human expression chooses harm, a coin is made. And so we won't be able to clear that karma, to heal that wound, until we have been on the other side of that coin. So back to the question that sparked this. No, there's no souls that come to Earth saying, I'm going to harm. But if an if a soul is doing a life review and was like, ugh, I harmed and I have unhealed wounds from that harm, then they will go back. It will be an intention to go back and heal that wound. But the wound starts with harm and it heals with love. Because even though the coin in the example that they gave me was fear, the most successful, the most effective way to heal that coin is to see the coin, and instead of being horrified by the harm, instead have compassion and love. I mean, this is something that I've been working on, in the past couple of weeks. Looking at, like for example, if a story of abuse comes across my feed, I do not. I mean, it's tempting, but I do not go to the place of like, oh my gosh, how could those adults have harmed those children, for example? No, my brain, because I've been coached, like this is the lesson in this, is I now think like, oh, the fear, the fear that was on both sides of that equation, the fear that manifested as harm. And then furthermore, what I do, and this is an advanced move. This is because this is my full-time job and I go deep and I'm not afraid to go into challenging places in my work, my practice, my personal practice, is that I actually do, if I hear a story about someone, and especially it catches my attention mostly when it's a woman who did something bad. I actually do the exercise of imagining being that woman, imagining having so much fear and shadow that she would make that choice. And so even though I'm not like sending her my love, I'm not saying, oh, I love her anyway, even though she did bad things, as fictional or real person. It's more like I can tune in to the fear and the shadow and just send a thought of love towards the fear and the shadow. And just like, again, not making it okay, not saying, oh, hurt people, so it doesn't matter. No, it absolutely matters. But getting mad at them and judging them being humans who do bad things, getting mad at them, wanting them to go to justice, wanting things to balance out in some way, that's only going to perpetuate the pattern. Instead, shoot a little rocket of love, like, oh, the pain that went into that whole scenario, both sides of that coin. Just love both sides of the coin, and then it's done. Then the coin's like, check, healed. It really can't. Like, there was like in my head, I'm like, really that, I mean, you really want me to communicate like it's that easy? And I'm hearing, yeah, it's that easy. What's hard is breaking out of the cycle, like, because especially with all the files, all the PDF files, we really want someone to, not just someone, but we want as many people as possible to be punished. We want to see punishment. I mean, many of us, I guess it's not really true for me, but that's kind of the vibe, of many of us, would love to see those bad guys punished, but punishment doesn't stop the cycle. Punishment perpetuates the cycle. Punishment can happen, justice will happen, but it's none of our business. We don't have to put our energy into it. what we should put our energy into is, again, sending love towards both sides of a coin that resulted in harm. Um, we heard this from Nikola Tesla earlier this week. He talked about how his natural polarity was disruptive light, but in most of his lifetimes, he ended up swinging all the way over to disruptive dark. And instead, what he told us is that if he had, and you can visualize a pendulum, that's the pattern. The pendulum, if you've got a pendulum with a lot of momentum, it's just going to keep going back and forth and back and forth. And that's the pattern. Victim, abuser, victim, abuser, victim, abuser. The way to stop the pendulum, to grab it, is to love the pendulum, love the coin, and just let it come in and quiet. Let love bring that pattern to a still point. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay. Elsa, you had a second, sort of a last part I wanted to come back to. Who's the one to give the okays or denials? There is no one. There's a whole council. We have our whole pantheon that we can connect with now in this life is instantly available. Like they come to us in the heavenly realm, and then we, do a lot of work together there. And so we definitely have advisors, but there's no, not even source is like an ultimate, like, yes, no, at least in what you're talking about. Source is definitely an ultimate yes, no for, like, pantheon issues, but not human issues. Moss is asking about aphantasia, being unable to visualize things. The advice I get is to use words. If you can't get pictures, zero in on words or sounds or smells. What they've told me in the past is if you struggle with one particular aspect, for example, visualization, then you probably have like a supersized, superpower. Maybe scent really drops you in to a meditative state. Maybe words, maybe you need to write down a word on a Post-it with a Sharpie and just visualize on a word. But you're definitely going to have something that's more of a superpower than most other people, because most other people are pretty good at visualization. So if you aren't, you got something, I guarantee there's something that compensates for that. Yeah. I'm just now getting to the points in your comments where you're talking about how much we've changed in a year. I know the fermenting. Yeah. Thank you again for those of you who've been on this journey with me. There's so many people like in my real life that have no idea. Like they don't even know that I've been having this whole journey. I mean, more and more than know, but I keep waiting for people in my real life to be like, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube. I'd love to hear more." But usually they don't. They either pretend they don't know, or they genuinely don't know. And I don't know. I don't know the difference. I don't care. Okay, I haven't forgotten about star seeds, but I still think that's our only Post-it so far. Elsa has a really good question that I think we'll just answer in the moment. But actually, I'm going to jump back to this question. Is it possible to sometimes feel a no as well as sometimes we feel a yes? Yeah. And if you can feel a no, like consider yourself lucky, because I don't. I feel a yes or a lack of yes. And that was so confusing in the beginning. especially when I was in a scenario where I was getting like yes, 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 and I kept expecting a no. I'm like, I'm not feeling a no. I'm not feeling a no. I'm not feeling a no. It's because because the scenario was that it was just all yeses, but it was very confusing. Because I wasn't because how I interpreted that is I didn't think I was feeling anything. I didn't think I was feeling a yes because I wasn't feeling the no. So I thought I was feeling nothing. And again, it was way early on, and so it's not. I mean, now there's no mistaking it. Now my whole body jolts, but at the time it was real subtle and I just was questioning it. Now, let me go on to Elsa's comment. If people have free will to choose the course of their lives take, how does this correlate to people dying in their predetermined exit points, which implies predestination? Would the life not change? I'm just listening to how they want me to answer that. Because what Elsa is referring to is something that's come up in the past, which is as souls, they're saying, pull out the rods. Always, a little teaching moment. I'm going to say always. I'm going to yes. And then I'm going to say sometimes. And I got like about, see how the rods sort of bounced? They're like, no, no, that's a no for me. Not always. Always. I mean, sorry, not sometimes. Always. Yes. Always. Yes. We always come in as a soul. They're telling me with like a curriculum, with our learning objectives. And we have 3 potential exit points. And typically, one's too early and one's too painful. The first one is too early. It's too painful for the people left behind. And the third one is too late. It's too painful for the soul. The one in between is, kind of what you hope for. Now, sorry, this is real deep, so I'm just listening to their exact words. But like they're giving me an example of maybe the first one, the earliest one, that might be predetermined to be a car accident. But whether that happens when the soul is 3 years old or 10 years old or 50 years old, that depends on the very meaningful free will that we have as that soul. Sometimes our soul, they're telling me sometimes what's happening right now, a lot of times is the soul, there's a lot of souls taking the earliest out. They're not waiting for the middle one, and they're definitely not waiting for the last one, which is the painful one. A lot of souls are taking themselves out at the earliest opportunity because they're not ready. They're not equipped for new earth, but they're not willing to be on old earth. So they're just like, get me out, get me out. So they're taking that first. That's funny. They gave me the metaphor of someone who works at a corporation and they're told like, we're going to have layoffs. So anyone who wants to just take a package, like now is to anyone want to volunteer to take a package? So that's kind of what many souls are doing. They're getting that, like, anyone want to volunteer to take your early exit? When you see stories in the news or friends of people dying out of order, in my world, it seems to be happening a lot. Some people I know, some people I don't. Yeah. That's just happening a lot right now. So, yes, the life would change because the life is always going to change because it's always free will. Yeah. So I hope that helps. Hope that answered your question. Let me keep going. I said I wasn't probably going to go a full 90 minutes, or I thought I was going to be closer to 90 minutes, not the full 2 hours, but here we are. I still haven't made it to the bottom of the list, and I got Starseeds, but I'm still going to keep trying. Just hang on with me. A question. How do I come up with the images? Were you talking about Aphrodite? I use a AI program. I paid a techie person to create a custom thing for me, and now I use my custom thing. Well, I do I interview, and then I get the starting point. But the gods and aliens and angels and dragons, they do the work. They work with the algorithm. All right. Hello in New Mexico. I'm still seeing hellos. Sorry if I missed you, I apologize. This is always so fun to like see your notes. So thanks for hanging in there with me as I catch up. Elsa's asking, is there a difference between how I sense information from downloads and how people with telepathic abilities sense the information they get? I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. I don't know how it feels for other people. What I will tell you is that when I ask them, like, what's the name of my particular Claire? And they say clairsentience. I sense through my body more than any of the others. So I'll often say I'm hearing them say, but it's not, that's more of a metaphor. I don't really literally hear sounds mostly. I also don't typically see visuals. Sometimes I do, but when I do, it's almost like I see this little stick figure animation or something like that. It's not like some kind of rich photograph or something. Some people hear things, some people smell things. It just depends. So I use clear sentience. Yeah. Someone's saying, what changed Aphrodite's mind? She negotiated a deal. I don't know. I mean, that's all she told me. She negotiated a deal. Erica's asking, what happened to Jesus's parents? Well, so that would be Mother Mary and Joseph. I don't know, I'm just hearing that they lived a nice long life. They raised Jesus and Mary Magdalene's children, 4 of them. So they were active grandparents. Yeah, they just went on with their life. Ari's asking, is Aphrodite connected to siren energy? Yes. I'm just feeling a big yes. Are there other ocean goddesses? Yes, Tyler. I'm hearing a yes to that. Alexa's asking, since and thank you. I'm finally now getting to your questions about Aphrodite. So thanks for hanging out. I finally got there. The question here is, since she was in the fence group, and on board now, does that mean the other fence sitters are also on board now? Well, she's still around. Let's see. So Aphrodite, yes. Are the other fence sitters on board now? Okay, she's saying yes. All of them. Yeah, organized religion is still trying to play hardball, but everyone's just like, whatever. No one's actually entertaining him. They're just waiting for him to come into alignment. Rebecca's asking, what are ways we can utilize and enhance beauty in the earth? Well, they're saying, Aphrodite is saying that just, I mean, we will start noticing the change inside of ourselves first before we notice something on the outside. We will start noticing beauty in unusual places. For example, you might find yourself admiring someone's, I don't know, freckles. It's kind of a funny example they gave me. Something that maybe something you never was on your radar to appreciate, but all of a sudden you're like, I never noticed how cool freckles are. Look at that person with a bunch of freckles across their nose. That's beautiful. So that's just an example of how you're going to notice it in yourself. Like, so the tip is, look for that. Look for ways of where your brain goes to beauty. Like, you never expected that. And then give yourself the acknowledgement, like, oh my gosh, that's New Earth. Hello, New Earth. Welcome. So That's an example. And then what they're adding, what Aphrodite's adding is like, she's like, and just wait. Look, there's something sort of like exciting and secret that she's not describing, but she's like, it's going to be great. So I don't know. Yeah. Oh, Malika said she channeled the Aphrodite and she's ready. Yes. Yeah. I see all the hellos. Yay. Aphrodite is really happy to have met your acquaintance in today's call. So, she's receiving. She's just very much receiving. Um, mm, uh, Benjamin, I'm seeing your question. I think I kind of already answered it, but yeah. Aphrodite is saying that life in general will be more beautiful to all that we experience. Like life is just your day is gonna feel beautiful. Your water that you're consuming to hydrate your body is going to feel beautiful. It's going to look beautiful in the beautiful glass. You're just going to notice. It's just like things are just going to be like clicked into focus a little bit more, and you'll be like, I never noticed what a beautiful color those little buds on that tree are. It's like a deep red, almost purple, I mean, that's a true statement. I never noticed how it's almost purple. So yeah. All right, I'm zipping ahead. Yeah. Yeah, the dream team of Gaia and Aphrodite came in. So as we're wrapping up, let's just give a big shout out to Aphrodite for just joining us today, for like coming around, for being like Team New Earth now, and for like whatever it is that she's got up her sleeve that she's going to show us beauty. Now I am still working through the question, so I'm not saying goodbye quite yet, but I'm only going to do real short answers to whatever they give me. I see this question from Beloved about health problems. Yes, the short answer is yes. They will lead us to guidance about our most, common and rare health problems. Burp of confirmation. Lauren's asking what should we plant in our garden this spring? She's like, it depends. But that's a beautiful opportunity to practice divination. Again, you can use your body if you're not interested in using tools. But it's raining very hard, almost hailing. So Gaia is wanting to say goodbye, but I just wanted to have the satisfaction of getting to the end. So I'm going to just do your questions about flowers and trees. Steve, don't feel bad about pruning, because pruning is necessary. It's like, I don't know, going to the gym or something. It's like, it's not pleasant to be cut, but it's not something we should avoid. It's just something we should be thoughtful when we do it. All right. And again, Care Bear, I hope you heard my answer of yes, they will help us with health problems. They will help us though. They're not going to come in and solve our problems. They will help us solve our problems. Moss is asking if the tap water is too harsh for their plants. I'm getting a yes. But Gaia is saying you don't need to do much. Maybe just one of those pitchers that sit in your fridge. So just put your tap water through a pitcher, let it sit in your fridge or on your counter, and use that filtered water for your plants and your drinking. It doesn't have to be expensive and fancy, but that would make a difference for you, Moss. Catherine's asking about Hera. I'm hearing that we will talk Hera in a future conversation, but thanks for Catherine. Thanks for that question. Quinn Tuition. What a fun name. Are you meant to keep doing what you're doing, or are you meant to change? I'm hearing a yes, change, but not because you're doing something wrong. I'm hearing change because that's how you grow. Change, adjust, grow, try something new, grow again, try something new, grow again, become a master at that thing. grow again. So yeah, change and grow. Ooh, yeah. Sierra's talking about uh Sarah's talking about having Christianity having like a demon fear. Yeah, that was again strategic. If we can be afraid of demons, then we won't access our full inner power because that's scary. So yeah, many of us have to unlearn the demon thing. All right. Yeah, Ronnie's saying that her husband is the eternal pessimist and she's the eternal optimist. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Oh, Ramona is saying she loved. Now I'm at the point in your comments where I was talking about altar. Ramona is saying the altar is not as a space of worship, as a space of communion. Yeah, we collaborate, we commune together to work towards the objectives that I have placed into the practice. I see the question from New Orleans about the Anunnaki. I love talking about it. Here's the short answer. The word Anunnaki is just another word for aliens, but it's specifically meaning the aliens who walked the earth way back in ancient times. So they're not bad. It's just another word for aliens, but it means a specific category of aliens. Kelly's asking, where do you purchase an altar? I thought it had to be created. I think that I think maybe you're referring to Ronnie's comment. She answered. Yeah. Ronnie and I were talking about getting, she wanted something that could close, because I am lucky enough to have a whole room that I took over from my husband, not my husband, my son, the college student. I'm like, I'm taking your bedroom. So I have a whole room, a door I can close, and inside the room with the door that can close, I have a cabinet with doors that can close. That's a lot of protection. Most people can't do that. So I think I'm remembering right that Ronnie has a space where she could put an altar, but it's not like a private space. I think was it a guest room, maybe, Ronnie? So we were brainstorming of like a cabinet that can close is a really good compromise when you need to put your altar in a space that other people use. All right. Gary, hi. Yeah. I'm getting to the point in your comments where we're talking about pyramids and triangles. A few more altar comments. Yeah. Again, the end of May is when I'm teaching the workshop that's level 2, and that's when I actually show you in great detail how they taught me to arrange my altar. I also have that last year's version of that on demand if you're really desperate. Christina is asking about the purpose of the Ankh. And you know what, Christina, I'm sorry, we're just at the very end, so I'm not going to answer now, but I really have been wanting to talk about 2 symbols, the Ankh, like that one, and the Eye of Horus, which I don't have, and that's for a reason. But you may be familiar with that as an Egyptian. So both of them are known for being of the Egyptian framework, but they have very different meanings, and I'd like to talk about that next time. So I'm going to make a note that next time we're going to talk about the Ankh versus the Eye of Horus. All right. Thanks for those of you still with me. I guess I'm like determined to get to catch up with your comments, and so I'm gonna keep going. Care Bear asks, how do you find out who is in your pantheon? You build it, you request them. And that's another whole, if you'd like to, we talk about that a lot in the membership and in the meditation classes. So if that's piquing your interest, I invite you to join us in the membership, and then you'll get everything. You'll get the meditations, you'll get the conversations, you'll get all the replays. Anne's asking, what happens to the energy directed at those we love? I wonder if you were talking about like prayers or something like that. That's all great, but it's really more like that. Like, again, I'll just bring my mom back. when she prays for her children and grandchildren, what she's doing, the biggest benefit that those prayers do for her is it is strengthening her relationship with her God. Her making those requests, her having those prayers is her quiet time. It's her connection time. So she is benefiting herself when she prays for others. And I mean, again, it's not like it hurts anything to pray for others, for them. I mean, it's like little like positive energy going out. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not literally keeping like my mom's prayers. I'm not safe today because of my mom's prayers. I might have little, good vibes floating around because of my mom's prayers, but I'm the one that keeps myself safe. That's the bottom line. Yeah. Oh, Yannette is saying that her Pantheon has taught and continues to teach her about intentions. It's been incredibly awesome. Yeah. Ari's asking what lineage is the god Loki? I'm hearing that we should use the rods. Okay, I always like to start with foundational questions. Is Loki a one of the not like of a lineage? Of course he is. Yes. Prometheus. Hang on. But yeah, it's another what I'm hearing for those of you who are familiar with the Quetzalcoatl switcheroo. I'm hearing a similar thing. I won't go into detail right now because of time, but Loki is the same thing. Loki started out as Enki and then switched to Prometheus by choice. So I didn't know that happens. Yeah. Another case of switching. Anne is asking who is the God of the Bible. Sorry, I know I'm way behind our present time, but the God of the Bible is exactly what it sounds like. The God of the Bible, who's also the God of all organized religion. He has lots of names: Yahweh, Jehovah, Lord God. Interestingly, sometimes I get random little downloads in the shower. This morning, I got a download in the shower about that, saying Heavenly Father, which is mentioned in the Bible. Heavenly Father is a separate God. That is the one exception to all the gods of the Bible. The one exception is Heavenly Father is a unique God, separate from the God of the Bible, who literally resides in the heavenly realm and works with us when we're there. He's not source. He's not God. Heavenly Father is down here in the heavenly realm, whereas source is way up here in the source realm. But that's just a little fun fact. The God of the Bible is all of the versions, including Lord God, King of Kings. That's all the God of organized religion, except for Heavenly Father. And Sabrina, hopefully that answers your question. The God of organized religion is all religions, all organized religions, because organized religion is not true spirituality. None of them are. None of them are correct. The one that's closest is Hinduism, but none of them are correct. All right. Did I actually get to the end? I did. No, I very well might have missed a bunch. Maybe it spun me out and I didn't notice it, but I'm going to take it. So the last couple notes that I caught up to are Alexa and Mel. So Eye of Horus versus the Eye of Ra. I'm not, are they different? Yeah. Do they mean different things? Yeah. So Eye of Horus, well, they're just saying next time we will talk about symbols and what they mean, what they historically meant and what they might mean now. Okay, Alexa is asking, reminds me of sending love to abusers' fear. If mom's prayers for baby's safety doesn't do anything, why send love to abusers' situation? It's not that it doesn't do anything. All of it does things, but just not what we expect. So if you're working with energy in any way, and that can look like sending, my mom praying is energy work, whether she would not call it that, but it is. Us working with something about acknowledging love or sending love for fear on both sides of the coin. It's we're not sending love to an abuser, and we're not forgiving. You will not hear me use the word forgiveness unless they're having me tell you to forgive yourself. But there's no forgiving. No, that's patriarchy. That's more conditioning of patriarchy, making you feel guilty that you have to forgive someone. No, it is important to forgive yourself, but no. Okay. I don't know if that fully answered your question, Alexa, but I am gonna just wrap it up since I just keep getting the sessions keep getting longer and longer. But why did first of all, did President Carter cry when many people did and do. I did. Well, maybe not immediately, but like I've had a lot of like, what? Oh my gosh, this is like so overwhelming. So he was overwhelmed, is what I'm hearing. Groove Holmes says, can I speed run and resolve many sides of coins in the same life run? Yes. And the very best way to do that is to get to balance, to accept your light and your darkness. So many of us have been conditioned to ignore and reject our darkness. So that is the first step, is welcome in your darkness, acknowledge it, get to balance, not, stop the pendulum. You've got to stop the pendulum, grab it, let it come, let it naturally come to balance, and make sure it stays there. And you do that by welcoming all sides of all coins, so they are related. Casey Nicole is saying, how do they feel about other people addicted to everything that's addictive in our world right now was put there on purpose by opposing forces who are human. From the toxins that we don't even see or know about in our food, water, and air, to the addictions that we do know about: sugar, alcohol, beauty, to think about what the old earth beauty. So our Pantheon can help us with addiction if we ask them to. So I wanted to add that. Who do the angels work for? They work for us. And then last but not least, star seeds. Oh my gosh. I'm going to end here. Star seeds. First of all, if you are watching this, you probably are a star seed, but that can mean a lot of things. What they mean by that is you were sent here on purpose to be here right now at this time. Some of you are the type of star seeds where you're meant to like do big things in the world. Some of you are meant to be right where you are in your house and just anchor your energy. Some of you are meant to travel and bring your energy to places and then absorb the energy in those places and then bring it back home again. But all of you are here because you're meant to. You chose to be here. You applied to be here. You requested, you begged to be here, and you were said, you got a yes. You're like, yes, absolutely. You can make a difference. So you're here now. There are some downsides to being a starseed, which is you might not feel comfortable here. You might have always, your entire life, felt a longing, like a homesickness, like not quite fit in. You might feel frustrated, like you want to do something, but you just can't quite do it. You might struggle with the contrast of like how you feel. You might feel like you're meant to have a lot of joy, but your outer life just doesn't reflect the joy that you're meant to feel. So there's a lot of different ways it can look as star seeds, but they're absolutely real. You are probably one, and thank you is what the Pantheon is saying. Thank you. And now we really are going to end. So that was a super sized one. Thank you to my Pantheon, especially the special guest, Aphrodite. Thank you to you members, the immersion members, especially the guests that joined me for the first time today. Maybe you're catching this on replay for the first time and you're just trying to figure out if I'm crazy. And the answer is you get to decide. I don't think so, but you get to decide. Last reminder, meditation tomorrow, divinemagic.com/April2. And if you're catching this after the fact, that same link works for the replay. I can't wait to see you all there tomorrow. And I will be back on YouTube on Monday for our member chat at 2 p.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you tomorrow or Monday. And then back here again Friday. Public every Friday. Bye, everybody.